All right, well, welcome everybody. My name is Matthew, and tonight we're going to be talking about the IQPro and showing you through the members site. So let's just go ahead and get started. As I said earlier, if you've got questions, this is not TV. You can actually ask a question. I will answer it. Just use the question box there. So the first, I'll just a couple of quick slides here is a testimonial we got a little while ago. So testimonial here says, look, an amazing opportunity with a potential of six-figure income. Unbelievable training program, successfully running the program for several months now. This has the potential to change my life. And that's from Chameth in New South Wales, not in Geelong. I need to fix that typo. I put that in there. So we need to fix it up. But essentially, what he's saying there is he's been running the program now for a couple of months successfully, and this has the genuine potential to change his life. And we hear those sort of stories all the time. Where people have been able to use and make money in retirement quite successfully, and also as a secondary income. So just in the question box, if you wouldn't mind, just let me know, are you going to use this in retirement or as a secondary income or as a business opportunity? So just go ahead and put that in there. Okay, retirement income. Okay, pretty much an even spread there. Well, let's get into the meat of today's conversation, what we're going to be talking about, which is the IQPro demonstration. That's the first introduction. The next part is the demonstration, and then the third part is membership. It's really important that with any product that you actually are looking at, especially ours, or a training product like this, you need to be able to make sure that you're not only getting a great product, but you're actually also getting great training and backup and support. That's a really key element to make sure your success. You could be handed the keys to a Ferrari, but if you've never driven the car before and you don't know how to drive, and you're not given the opportunity to learn from somebody who's doing it really well, you're going to have an accident. So that's certainly not where we want to be. So the introduction to the business, I think we've covered that pretty well, but really what most people are here to do, the people who are talking about retirement, people who are talking about creating a secondary income, running it as a business, is actually the sort of money that is being able to be made throughout the course of, well, the last 16 years actually. We began in February 1999 with a general idea of saying, you know what, I would like to, me personally, as I started the company back then, and I was just looking for a way to not have to work too hard. And I know that sounds lazy, but I was a roof plumber, working for a roofing company, and looking at the older guys there, and the older guys, when you're a 17, 18-year-old apprentice, the older guys are 40. I'm 40 now, so I don't feel that old, but some days. But I looked at them, and they're making good money, but they're still busting a gut every single day, and there's no leverage to it. If they don't show up, they don't get paid. And I thought, well, that's really not a future that I wanted to take hold of. So I looked at other opportunities and started working in various ways, and worked in the stock market for a little bit, and then developed the software when I was, and we started selling this when I was about 22. Now, the reason we did that is simply not because I have a deep-seated love of horse racing or anything like that, is because this is a cash market, not necessarily highly informed, and we do have the opportunity to make great money on a day-to-day basis. And of course, the fact that it's tax paid or tax free is certainly a bonus. So over the last 16 years now, we're in our 17th year, we've been able to average between $40,000 to $80,000 a year. And if we narrow that down, it's been sitting at around about $55,000 a year for that time. Last year was reasonably good, and we can see there that we had the profits climbing steadily. We had a nice little bounce up there in September, and also in March we made $3,000 there as well. So we've got certainly some nice bit of earnings occurring throughout the year. And how that's actually created, and I had some questions about this last time I did one of these, is how often are you using the program, how much are you spending per trade, and things like that. So this is based on very basic usages of the software. That is following our exact basic guidelines, going through the training program, and without having to add any extra flavor to it. What I mean by that is there are customers out there using using Quinellas and Exactas, which is covering the first two horses, in any order for a quinella and the exact order for a for a and in the exact order for an exacta. And so what we're looking at there is those people are making a lot more money, and last year they're reporting over $200,000, and that's very, very doable. We've been able to use some of their ideas. We've gone ahead and asked them to record sessions with us, teach their system, and that's now available to our customers for a small fee of, I think, $30. The idea is just to have to cover our server costs and cover the delivery of that program. So for an extra $30, you can figure out how you can see how one of our customers has been making well over $200,000 for the last 15 years in a row, and I think that would be a worthy investment. So we've got the program there. That's the sort of earnings that can be created. But really what people are here to do is see the program running. Now, obviously, not obviously, with our program, we actually are using just the daytime racing. Now, the daytime racing today is actually finished, but I will review the day's racing for you. I think quite a few of you. Let me just review the attendees here. Yeah, most of you have already seen the program running live at some stage. There's quite a few names I remember from over the years. So let me go ahead and just run you through quickly the results for today. Let me just go ahead and bring up the program. Here it is here. So this is the program, and let me just, in a orderly fashion, go through each of the parts of the software. Okay, on the left-hand side, we've got all the races that I've chosen to collect information on today. So so the first race happened at 12:29 New South Wales Victoria time at AR1 in Strathalbyn. That's in Adelaide or South Australia. MR1 is MR being for Melbourne, so that would be the major race in Victoria. SR, which is the major race in Sydney or New South Wales. Now we are looking at, for the New Zealanders in the audience tonight, we are looking mainly at Australian races because they are basically, the Australian market is 10 times the size of New Zealand. And so if you can, always try to use a larger market. You always want to play in a bigger pool. And so that's why New Zealanders use the Australian market. And also, when you are earning Australian dollars, at the moment, the New Zealand dollar is almost on parity, but there have been some pretty severe swings in the last few years, all the way down to 65 and 70 cents to the dollar, and that means that when New Zealanders are out there earning their $50,000 in a year with our software, that does translate to over $70,000 New Zealand at those times. So these are the races I've collected information on. The reason all of these are in blue here are the races that have already happened. So the last race finished up just a little while ago, and there are evening races on, but I wanted to show you what happened today. This is a fair indication of what actually goes on a day-to-day basis. So let's go all of the information. So whenever I click on a new race, so I've moved on to MR1 in Sandown. There's AR1 in Strathalbyn, and the program will automatically select and do the analysis for us. Do about 80% of the analysis for us right off the bat. And that's a great, easy way for you to identify races that do qualify and races that don't qualify. And so, and first thing I always look at is down here in the bottom left-hand corner, because these are the rules or the guidelines that we've set up to identify a race that could qualify. If any of those are red, so we've got two colors, green and red. If any of them are red, that means the race doesn't qualify for a trifecta. We've got trifecta selected here. At the top here, these are all the different styles of trading the program can perform. I'm only going to talk about trifecta tonight. I want to make this a nice, tight 45 minutes, and I know we've already eaten up almost 15. So I want to keep this nice and tight, provide you with the opportunity to ask questions and expand on your current knowledge of the program. So I can see a few people have joined us late. Don't worry, this is being recorded, and I will go ahead and email this out. And also, if you do have a question, please do go ahead and grab the question box and just type it in there, and I'll answer it. And often when I'm on a roll answering questions, people get a lot more value out of the session than just sitting there and trying to absorb it. If you engage your brain, think of a question, ask it, you're going to get more out of me, and you're going to learn more about the program as we go. All right then, so we've selected trifecta. This is Strathalbyn race 1 today, And we order the horses from favourite to least favourite. We don't care about the horse's name, jockey, trainer. This is a maths-based program. So people with a professional background, a business background, accounting backgrounds, they will see true value here because they recognise that the real story is in the numbers. You know, a business can have all the potential in the world, but unless it's making a profit, paying wages and doing what it's got to do, it's not worth having. So we order the horses from favourite to least favourite. The favourite horse here is the one at the top paying the least amount. So that's the most likely horse to win mathematically. Now, as I said, I don't know the horses, jockeys, trainers. Look, all that information is there. If I go ahead and right click and hit show and hide details, all the information is available to you. It's just not important to us. Why would I care that a guy named Joe Bowditch is riding a horse named Midnight? That's not going to help me make any money. Look, if you're a tipster, if you're a person that follows the horses and knows all of this stuff, but you know, Miss Murrah being ridden by Jamie Carr, I don't know. That doesn't turn me on. That doesn't actually make any difference to how I would make a decision. So I just hide that information so I can see more numbers. All right, so the horse number 3 is paying $1.90 and horse number 5 is paying $47.20. That means for every $1 you put on horse number 5, you get $47 back. So it's very unlikely of that horse to come in. The next column is all about the percentage of the prize pool that each horse is holding. So horse number 3 is holding 44% of the money. Horse number 1 is holding 22% of the money. And all the way down, poor old horse number 5 is holding only 1.8%. If you've only got 1.8% of anything, you really don't have much, unless it's Facebook stock, I guess. But even then, there's people out there with a lot more than you. So the next column over is the cumulative percentage. So, you know, if we take 44.6 and add 22.3, you're going to get 66.9. And the reason that's important is because you've noticed here these blue, orange, and green bands. These blue, orange, and green bands are showing us the grouping of horses based on 50% of the cumulative prize pool for a first, then 70%, then 90%. And that translates over here where the program has automatically chosen horses for a first, a second, and a third place. All right, so I'll get there in a moment. The next column over is what each horse is paying for a place. Then the WDIF, the UDIF, the WUP are not important for today's conversation. They're about money movements and price movements. As I said, not important for today's conversation. If you do have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer those after the demo tonight, or of course, just email me and I'll come back to you within 24 hours. The MG column there is showing us the money. MG stands for money gap, and that's showing us the difference between one horse and another. Now, I don't even remember the horse of number 3, and I don't remember the horse number 1, their names. But what I do know is horse number 3 is paying $1.90, and this horse is paying $3.80, and that's a doubling. It's 2 times, which translates over here. So $1.90 multiplied by 2 is $3.80. $3.80 multiplied by 1.82, or 82%, is $6.90. All right, the reason that's important, the MG column, is the reason some of these are in red, because they represent a 50% gap or greater. Okay, so for example, between 6 and 8, $6.90 versus $9.20, oh, there's a pretty good gap there. I'm not too sure exactly 1.33% multiplier, or to say that another way, 33%. We're looking for horses. We're looking to group horses together with a greater than 50% hold. So I'll show you how to apply that. Now, currently I'm explaining the program at a pretty deep level. Once you actually go to use the program, you'll see it's like using it's like turning your car on. It's like the electronic ignition. People can say, well, it does all of these things, fires this, does that. But in reality, our program, you put the key in, turn the key, and it works. If it doesn't, call somebody. So this is what I'm trying to do here is say, this is some of the background behind these numbers, but let me just show you how to use that, because that's really the only important thing, is not the deep understanding of the math, but how to actually use it. Next column is the 1, 2, and 3. That's the horses the program automatically covers for a first, second, and third. Then the next column here in the black column is the last minute before the race jumps. Well, that's the latest piece of information we've received. Now, for a race that is already run, we select, or the program automatically selects it at 1 minute before the race jumps, because that's the time when you would need to make a decision if you're looking at the program in history mode or you're going back to look at the race. Whilst looking at the race live, you'll see that this information come through, then the next piece of information will come through, and if the race is running late, you'll see more information. You can see there. And this race here ran about a minute behind, and the last data feed was a 0 column because that shows us, hey, the race is closed. So a bit of information, a bit of money comes in here late, but we don't really care about that because we always make our decision at the 1 minute mark. Okay, so let's move on. The rules down here that I talked about earlier. Now, if you do remember from earlier in the conversation, I said if any of the rules are broken, parts of them go red. So without any knowledge, and I know some of you have quite a good knowledge of the program, but without any knowledge, you can immediately see that, hey, pool is different, pool is wrong, pool is breaking the rule. What's the rule? Well, you need at least $5,000 in the prize pool. If there's less than $5,000, that goes red. If it's red, you don't trade. Okay, so let's go back to the top and look at all the rules. We need between 8 and 14 horses in the field. Now, field is number of horses or number of runners in the race. The next rule is the dollars on top combo. What's the favourite paying? The favourite's at the top paying $1.90. We want to make sure the favourite's paying at least $1.80 or more. If it's paying less than $1.80, there are certain rules that I won't talk about tonight that will allow you to trade with that, but in a slightly different way. Because over the years, there's been numerous ways to actually make money with the software. We, in training and in the basic format, that $52,000, if you remember, is based on the basics. And then there's lots of layering on top of that for you to make very, very good money beyond that. So field, 8 to 14 horses, dollars on favourite, $1.80 or more. Pool, more than $5,000. That's $4,400. It's not going to work. Combos. Now, this is the clever thing about our program. Now, a lot of people who are racing enthusiasts or know a bit about racing will go, oh, well, if those two horses, that would be a box trifecta and there would be 18 combinations. You could put $1 on each. Look, that's fine. You can do that and you don't need our program if you want to do that. The clever part about our program is we put a different dollar amount. The program automatically puts a different dollar amount on every combination depending on the risk and potential return of what that's going to pay out. So there's a calculation that sits in behind the software that works out what the potential trifecta payout's going to be and flattens that out. So regardless of which combination comes in, you'll get a return if all the rules are met. Let me just show you that. So on the left-hand side there, you can see that these are all our bets. Now that's only 18. Often we will see more of these ticks in here. We have a maximum of 60. Now, it would be absolutely physically impossible for a human to place 60 different trifecta bets, all with a calculated different dollar amount on it, 1 minute before the race jumps. So you'd be lucky to even say the numbers, let alone get those trades on. So we've got $51 on the 3, 1, and 6 combination. So if that's and mathematically, now once again, I don't know the horses, but mathematically, if one of those, if those 3 horses come in that order, it's going to pay the least amount of money. Therefore, we need to have the most amount of money of our bet on it to make a profitable return. All the way down to the 1, 8, and 2. This is the least likely combination mathematically. 1, 8, 2. That's only got $3 on it. Because if 182 comes in, it's going to pay quite a bit. So regardless of what actually happens here, if we win the race, we do usually make a double or treble our money. Okay, let's carry on. The next rule is dollars on top combo. So we've dealt with trifectas as a group. Overall, we want no more than 60. Dollars on top combo, that's telling us how much is on the top combination. So if we're looking at around about between 48 and 60 combinations, some of our trades at the bottom of the field, the small ones, the $1, $2, and $3, we want to make sure that no greater than 1/3 of our bets are $1, $2, or $3 trades. Excuse me, I'm just having a sip of water. We want to make sure they're not $1, $2, and $3 trades, because if we win the race, we won't make enough money to cover our outlay. And so our outlay in these races that I'm showing is $400. Now you can choose whatever dollar figure you like to scale up. or scale down as you begin. So when you first get hold of the program, you would probably start at a lower number and build your confidence, build your bank up to around about $10,000, and then you can start trading with around about 5% of your bank. So once you're at $8,000, you start trading at $400 level and going from there. And that means, of course, you're starting to leverage your time and value in the program. And I can speak about specific strategies on how to get those greatest amounts of leverage once you've gone through the training. So the next rule is low dollar multiples. Now we've covered dollars on top combo. We want to make sure there's at least $20 in the top combo. We want to make sure that no greater than 1/3 of our bets are $1, $2, and $3 bets. And we want to make sure that in this particular thing, race, I've said I want to be told when there's a maiden race on. A maiden is a horse that's never won a race, and if a maiden race occurs, that means none of the horses have ever won a race. All right, and some racing people want that. Some racing people don't want it. I put it in there just as an indicator for me. I'm okay with maiden races. All right, so now we know the rules. Let me just review what you're actually looking for. If any of them are red, you don't bet. If all of them are green, you look on. Simple as that. So let's move on to the next race. Let me go ahead and unlock the selections because I was running the program today. This is how the race presented itself, the second one and first one in Sandown. So as you can see here, all of these are green, so I look on. These two horses are being taken for a first place. And by this red marker here, what's that telling us? It's just telling us there's a substantial gap between this horse here and this horse here. $3.90 versus $7.80. Yeah, that's a pretty big gap. That's 2 times. So that's our grouping for a first place. For a second place, our grouping ends here at 70% of the prize pool. But is it mathematically reasonable to say a horse number 8 is worthy of our money for a second place when horse number 11 is not? What's the real difference there? Well, the real difference there is $11 versus 14, or 7% of the pool versus 5. But I like maths. It's a 1.33 gap, so 33%. We're looking for gaps of 1.5. So it's not reasonable to say that horse number 8 is in and of itself a grouping. So I need to add the next horse in. Same question, 14.90 versus 15.40. The difference is 3% or 1.03. Add that horse in. Keep your eye down here, because as long as if we're adding these numbers, these are climbing. So currently we're on 50 combinations. 26% of our bets are $1, $2, and $3 bets. Okay. But obviously the field and the dollars on favour in the pool won't change, but the other ones will. And we go to, well, once again, 15 versus 17. I need to add that horse in. Now I'm talking you through this. But what you will do is go, where's the next red money gap? There it is. I just need to add everything above this. And by doing that, that's removed the race from the contention. Combos has gone to 84. Low dollar multiples has moved to 58%. So 58% of our bets are $1, $2, and $3 bets. So that's a no trade. Move on to the next race. I'll unlock the selections again. Straight away, pool is $3,000. Dollars on top combo is 19. Both of those things don't qualify. Next race. Okay, let me just unlock this again. Okay, so these two horses are one group. The next group needs to finish at this red marker here. The next group, well, I don't need to add any more there. That is a trade. And the result of that trade was a loss. 10, 7, and 6 came in first, second, third. I'm very happy to show a loss during a live demonstration because it would be unreasonable for anybody to expect or even tell you that their idea, their racing system, their trading system wins every time. We win around about 7 times out of 10. That means we lose 3 times out of 10. Of course, we didn't get to $52,000 profit for the year by losing more than we win. So obviously we win more often than we lose, but that does happen. So we went ahead and saved that information by clicking the Save button, and that goes to what we call our data sheet or our trading statement for the day. Now, following the rules and guidelines is important, One of the things that a experienced trader would say, and if any customers are on the line tonight, they will probably be looking at this data and going, hang on, Matt, what about horse number 6 and 9? Yeah, what about horse number 6 and 9? Horse number 6 and horse number 9 in this last minute took more money than the favourite and second favourite. So our customers who have finished the training wouldn't have traded this race, because what they would have to do is add these horses in to their first place selection, which would remove the race. I just wanted to show that to you, but I've gone ahead and registered as a loss because I want to show you the super basics tonight. It's all about the super basics. But anybody who's looked at the program for, who's completed the training and started using it would identify straight away these two blocks of money are more than the favourite in the last minute. Something fishy is going on, get out. Because there's races almost every 10 minutes of the day, 7 days a week. There's no requirement for you to trade on every single opportunity. So let's move on to the next race. Unlock these selections. This is all green. So if it's green, we look on. These two horses, 1.8 gap. We're looking for a 1.5 gap. We've got these three horses here. And what I've noticed here is, once again, I do need to make this inclusion here because I didn't actually trade this race. We've got these two horses, these two. So if I can I'll just go back and say that again. This is our grouping for our second place. There is a 1.5 gap, but there is substantial amounts of money on the next two horses. So you do need to add those horses in, bringing it down to this $1, this 1.67 gap. That would be your correct shape of your trade, or the correct trade. Combos and low dollar multiples would knock you out of the race. Okay, next race. Field is 6, no bet. Field is 6 again, no trade. For those of you who just joined us, I am recording this session, so don't stress, I will send it to you. All of these are in red. And as we go through the races, we can make quick selections and identify races that actually qualify and don't qualify very quickly and very easily. So these are in red, no bet. These are in green. We've got these two horses covered for first place. So let me go back. So these are unlocked selections. So the program has automatically chosen these two horses for first place, these for a second, and these for a third. The money profile is correct. Those two horses covered for first place, they are grouping themselves. We've got a strong number here and a gap here, so that's fine there. And then we can leave the tail end sitting there. So that would be a trade. 2, 1, and 7 came in first, second, third. 2, 1, 7. The return was $1,000, so we spent $400. We got back $623. And so on and so forth. That's how the program works. We always just trying to follow the rules follow the bouncing ball, so to speak. We had this as a trade. The next race, let me just unlock the selections, show it to you again. Bit of an up and down day actually today. I don't mind showing it to you. So we got these two horses covered for a first, but the red mark is here. I need to add that in there. At 70%, don't need to add any more there. And at 90%, don't need to add any more there. All of these are green. We have distinct grouping. Those are very separate to these horses here. So that is a trade. And in that case, 10 came in first, which was down here, and we didn't win that one. Move on to the next race. And as we keep going, we can see here, all of these are in red, no bet. And in red, no bet, and carries on with the software as we go. So without going over and over and over the races, how about I just show you the result for the day? So the result for the day was we had no bets in the first couple of races, then we had that loss, then we had no bets for a while, a win, then that loss I showed you, and we carried on with no bets for a while, then we had a substantial win, which kicked us up over the $700 mark. $784 for the day, and that was the last trade of the day. So you can see there that following the plan, not being greedy and sticking with it, yes, we did have an early trading loss, and then we carried on. Then we had a win, loss, carried on for a bit, and then we had that win, and the rest of the day was no action for us. And also what most customers would have done at that stage is once you've made your $500, once you've made $500 or more with the program on a day, switch it off. Because very few people are buying the program with a deep-seated need to run horse racing software. They buy it because they want to create a secondary income, or as we said earlier, secondary income or retirement income. It's not about horse racing. If you want to do horse racing, go to the track, wear a silly hat, have a couple of beers. That's not what we're about. If you want excitement, do that. If you want money, buy this program. So that's essentially how we went today. $784 profit for the day, and of course for the New Zealanders that's Australian dollars, and because the tax is already taken out of it, it's tax paid as well. So the money you earn or the money you make betting on horses, yeah, there's no income tax to be paid on it unless you're a professional, and there's a whole range of rules and regulations around being professional and claiming the losses and things like that. And in 17 years, none of our customers have ever been questioned about being a professional. If they were, well, the party would be at my house, because we'd be able to claim the cost of the program, claim a portion of the mortgage as an office, and a whole range of other things. So I'm sure there has been people in the past who have bought the program and run it as they call it their business, but you run it as and the money you make is what's considered windfall profit. All right then. So that's today. And as I said earlier, the graph shows us $52,000 so far for the year. Let's keep moving. We're about half an hour down. I want to spend another, say, 15, 20 minutes just wrapping up the basics. If there's any questions, please do put them in here. I have been seeing the questions come through, and you've noticed that sometimes I will change tact halfway through saying something. That's because I'm answering somebody's question without necessarily saying, oh, here's John's question. Okay, John? All right, cool. Yeah, you get that. So that's what we're doing. That's what I'm doing, is I just want to weave in the answers to the question so everybody gets an understanding, rather than just specifically answering a question and nobody else gets the benefit of what I've been saying. All right, so that's the program. Let's go back to the membership side. So this is something that I'm really, really proud of. Yes, the program is fantastic. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But the service and support that we provide to customers is genuinely second to none. We have not found any business to do a better job than us in regards to service and support. We have built a huge library of searchable information that is, you just go into our member section, type in anything, data, betting, money gap, and it'll usually be answered and have a video attached to it to give you the real, to deal with those people who don't want to read, they want to be shown. My father used to say, don't tell me, show me. Well, we've certainly done that. We've done that with videos, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So here's something from Brian in Auckland. The support and training is second to none, and everyone is very helpful. The best part is knowing the program does work, and also that everyone is so helpful and make me feel part of the team by offering involvement in everything that's available. And what I mean by that is there are support groups started by customers, run by customers, for customers. I'm happy to support those support groups, and now most times in most cities around Australia and New Zealand there is a group of customers that get together once a month to talk about the program, and there are some customers here. If you're not part of a support group, do yourself a favor and get along to one of those. Go and meet other people, because they are going through the same thing you are, they're learning the same thing you are, and there's often real value in there. For example, one of the chaps that makes over $200,000 a year lives in Adelaide, and is part of that support group, and you know what? Everybody in that support group's income has risen, because he said, oh, well, what about this? And have you thought of that? He's adding more of his ideas. Okay, so let's carry on. How the rubber hits the road, how we actually go ahead and make sure that we don't leave anybody behind is our members area. The help and support section is huge. The user forum, people can get in there and ask questions and put up their notes from the ideas they've had. because quite often people have already had ideas similar and might be able to give you some direction. The training is really important. And the reason it's got a play button is because I love videos. So we'd rather show you rather than just tell you. And of course, the store, you can change your level of membership. You can book an upcoming training event. We are going to be touring Australia and New Zealand towards the end of this year with not just me, but actually our trainer. And he's the one that runs the event. I'm just there to intro him, keep the ball rolling, but really it's his day. He's there to give massive amounts of value to ensure everybody is on the same page and making money. And so you can go ahead and book your tickets there. So what does that look like? It's really simple. We've kept, let's say I've bought the program. What do? Guess what? I click on the Getting Started button, and then I download the program. We make it super, super simple. You just need to read a couple of the links, go, yep, that's me. I have Windows 10. I'm on this computer. Click that link, download the program, you're away. There are announcements and support groups in there. So in relation to the training, all of these are training videos. So each lesson is either and you can also see here, this is the email address of the trainer. And you can also see if we click on the next, if we click on lesson 2, takes us to this one. Lesson 2 is all about trifecta. And I know that I breezed over that money gap thing, the MG column earlier. Well, we go pretty deep here. In the training, it's not just teaching you how to use it. Of course, tonight with 45 minutes up my sleeve, I can't get into the depth of that I wanted to, but what I can do is give you the overview. Here in the training, we can go deep. We can get into the why, not just the how, it's the why. We can say, and then understanding the why allows you to understand the program at a level where you might be able to start developing some of your own ideas. And then we go, and then of course down here in the trifecta parameters, they're the printouts and the guidelines, that 8 to 14, more than $1.80 stuff that I was talking about earlier. Yep, you can just go circle back, print those 1 pages out, stick them on your computer screen, next to your computer, not over your screen. That'd be silly. Okay, so we move on. So that's how the program is trained. I did get this testimonial from Abe in Melbourne. I've looked at other racing software and home-based businesses in the past, but IQPro impressed me the most. The logic behind IQPro made a quick impression, and I was able to see it live at a member's house before buying into it. Being a single dad with 3 teenage kids and little time on my hands, IQPro fits my lifestyle perfectly. And that's what some of the people early indicated is they want it as a secondary income. They wanted it as part of their retirement income, and that's all about lifestyles. Because with a regular business, you go out there and buy a business, and I know there's people in here who've run retail operations. I know Brian has running retail operations. Somebody's got to be there. If you shut the shop for 3 weeks, you're going to damage your business, damage your reputation, upset all your customers, and you'll never be able to recover because you're no longer trustworthy in the market. Whereas here with our program, nobody's going to be upset if you're not trading. So if you do want to go take the kids to do water skiing for the week, well then you can. There's nothing stopping you doing that and not running the program. I'm not going to call you up and say, hey, why aren't you using the program? Doesn't affect us. This is your, one of my clients one time referred to it as a money tap. So it's a money printing machine. You use it, you crank the handle, money comes out. You don't use it, no money comes out. Simple as that. Of course, we do have customers who employ people to use the software or have their children running the software or their partners running the software. It's up to you how you want to manage your time. But if somebody's cranking the handle, you'll make money. So he finishes off by saying, I'm happy to demonstrate it to anybody who's serious about running their own business because, as the saying goes, the proof is in the pudding. You can see it with your own eyes doing what it does best. So that's really cool that one of our customers has said, you know what, I was able to see a demonstration. I'm happy to show others. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. I've brought this in pretty much on time that I said I was going to, about 45 minutes. Are there any questions you've got for me at this stage? And I'll just leave the line open for a minute. Yep, happy. I'm glad you enjoyed that, John. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, good. Okay, so look, doesn't look like anybody's actually asking any particular questions. If there are any questions, do email me, matthew@iqpro.com.au, or go to the website, fill in the form, and they'll come to my email address, or you can hit reply on this on the webinar email address, and that'll come directly to me as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Brian, happy to help. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If there's any questions, do go ahead and ask me, but IQPro is an excellent way to create a secondary income. It does require some of your effort and time, but you will make money by putting that time and effort in. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time this evening. I know it's late in New Zealand. I'll leave it with you. Have a nice evening. Talk to you later. Bye for now.